What's going on, guys? It's your boy Mitch, and I'm here with something a little bit different today. I will be reviewing some movies in this segment, a new little segment that I'm putting together. And these will be some new movies which have come out recently, some of them will be old movies, but they will be good movies, because those are the only kind that I watch, of course. So, just to cover a few things. Firstly, make sure your volume's turned up so you can hear what I'm saying. Secondly, make sure you're relaxed. And thirdly, make sure you're ready to absorb some opinions that might challenge your beliefs a little bit, because my opinions tend to be quite strong. So, like I say, sit back, relax, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and enjoy the video. Okay, so the movie that I'll be reviewing today is called Bird Box. It stars Sandra Bullock, and it's actually a Netflix movie. Sandra Bullock is obviously the main character. The movie is set in the modern day world, and it kind of touches on some apocalyptic themes like mass suicide and things like that. Sounds a bit dark, just straight off the bat, but actually really I feel the film touches on some really relevant issues, because we are so consumed by what we see on a daily basis that it can actually drive us to suicide, which is something that we see in a lot of communities around the world. Don't want to name and shame, but Japan, namely, is one first world country which has an astonishingly high suicide rate. Whether this is because of the quality of life, honor, things like that, it's completely up to interpretation, just merely a fact which I'm pointing out. And as we all know, Japan is pretty much one of the cities, one of the countries which I would consider as one of the more forefront countries in the world in terms of how they carry themselves, respect, technology, a load of things. If we take a snippet out of the life of a Japanese person, it will be very relatable to people across the world. Not saying that there's no cultural differences there. There definitely will be cultural differences from England to Japan, for example. But I feel like, me personally, I could fit in very well going and living in Japan, Tokyo, Osaka. Doesn't really matter. I feel like it would be a good place to live. Now, bearing that in mind, we have a really good quality of life. We have technology, we have medicines, we have loads of stuff that we can be grateful for. So why on a daily basis are there so many people committing suicide and falling ill to things like depression, anxiety, a lot of mental illnesses that we see going around the world? Why is this? I believe that this is because we have this instant gratification complex which we have developed in the 21st century, which is a means to an end. We are putting our happiness in physical phenomena which can't sustain happiness in a human being. Things like family, exercise, self-worth, achievement, stuff like that it sounds really corny, but actually if you take a step back and look at it for what it is, that's the stuff that we've been doing for centuries. So a little thing to think about just before we really get into the meat and potatoes of the film and look at some of the top billed cast and things like that. It's just instant gratification has led us down an avenue where we really don't know whether we're going to be happy tomorrow or not. And that's the truth. Even me myself, I admit that. Okay guys, so top billed cast. As you know, Sandra Bullock, inspired performance is all I would say about that. Purely because being the lead role in the movie and a big name as well, so kind of like Cristiano Ronaldo going in against Barcelona. And she scored a hattie, bro. She scored a hat trick on this movie. Really, the IMDb ratings didn't just not really do her any justice. But Sandra Bullock, really good performance. Felt every line. Tom, who plays her spouse, who she actually meets during the apocalyptic world type of thing, is played by Trevante Rhodes. Really good actor as well. It's going to be one that's popular with the ladies. He's a good looking guy. But really, we see him kind of set the scene for the events that come after his untimely taking from the movie. Did say there was going to be spoilers, guys, I'm sorry. But he's taken too early, regrettably. And we see Sandra Bullock, or Mallory, adapting to the changes after he has left her. I mean, he doesn't leave willingly, he is killed. So yeah, seeing her adapt, having 2 kids with her as well, to the absence of Tom, was really something that brought out the strength aspect of Mallory's character. She's a very strong woman, kind of keeps her emotions pushed down, doesn't really like to give too much away, and when Tom comes in, kind of sweeps her off her feet, and then she's kind of back to square one again. So we do see this full range of her emotions throughout the movie, from 0 being, you know, she's pregnant at the beginning of the movie, doesn't even really have any communication with the dad, and you know, at the end of the movie, it still actually comes back to this part of the spectrum where she actually names her kids boy and girl. For whatever reason, didn't want to get attached to them or whatever. I thought that was kind of weird. I thought that was really weird, Mallory. But throughout the movie, as I say, we see this whole oscillating spectrum on her part of emotions. Like I say, Tom really kind of supports her character, a bit to the contrary of a normal movie as we would think of it. We'd think of the male being the lead, but Mallory's the lead in this case because she's such a strong character. We then have John Malkovich, really good actor as well. This guy can really just make you hate anyone. He can just play any character and you'll hate them instant. So he plays Douglas, the man whose house they end up arriving to and seeking refuge in. There's always that one house that people arrive to. So hats off to John for that. Played the role really well, and we hated him. Then we have Sarah Paulson, who starred in American Horror Story, which is a really good series, by the way. I'd recommend it to anyone. She plays Jessica, who I believe is either Mallory's best friend or her sister, which really, the beginning of the movie is a big blow. I would have liked to see Sarah more in the movie, but she does her job. She does her job in the movie. Let's just say that. Yeah, so that's the top bill cast. Moving swiftly on, the movie opens up with a really iconic scene, in my opinion. This is a scene in which Mallory is seen depicting a group full of people, like we do see in the Bible and things like that. Quite a holy image that she is depicting. A group of people all at a dinner table, at a dining table, very long one, all eating, but not interacting with each other. They're all sort of in their own world, and they're kept apart from each other by these invisible forces. Now, this is open to interpretation. I thought this is a really important part of the movie because it's like foreshadowing the events to come. So knowing that Bird Box is an apocalyptic movie, we can take a lot from this. Mallory then goes on to say that the picture depicts human beings' lack of ability to connect. Now I believe this is very true. The only thing that we actually really connect with on a deeper level these days is the Wi-Fi or 4G mobile data, Bluetooth. That's the only connecting we do, guys. Really, when you think about it, even myself, I'm a member of today's society. I can't even lie, I'm obsessed with technology. So looking at that, that is one of the obstacles that we will have to overcome in the movie to come. And it really elegantly sets the scene for the atrocities which we are about to observe in the movie, leading up to events like we see running away from zombies and people committing mass suicides and things like that. So the picture essentially encompasses the whole movie. We, through our lack of ability to connect with one another, actually hinder ourselves in our progression and how robust we are as a society in terms of coming back from these illnesses, these pandemics, these epidemics, which we've seen throughout history. I mean, even in recent history, we've seen some of these things. And instead of tackling the target head on, we kind of all take a step back and want to live as a nation on our own amongst all the other countries in the world, which really we should just be thinking in that situation as one world rather than loads of different countries, because one world is a lot more robust and has more capacity to recover from these things than just operating as one country. Essentially, the way that this illness, I'm going to call it an illness because we don't really have a way of defining it at the moment, the way that this illness is transmitted from one person to the next is we look them in their eyes. So I think this is really relevant to today's society, because given the fact that religion is still so popular, we have that aspect of society completely secular to our day-to-day running of our lives. So that's a complete different phenomenon to us, right? And the people who are infected with this illness, they have seen something and they all want us to see it. All the people who don't have it, they want us to see it. They want to show it to us because they feel like it's something they can't keep to themselves. Now, this is very important. So, the very act of distributing the illness from one person, from the host to its next target, next victim, is defined by that individual's transgression. Now, the word transgression, let's pull that apart a little bit. Transgression is when somebody does something unjust against religion, another individual, themselves. Really can just be anything that would make you a villain of sorts. Through my own transgression, I have witnessed someone's eyes who is infected with this disorder, right? Important to remember. So I've made eye contact with someone who has this disorder. Now they instinctively now, because of the nature of their transgression, want me to be in the same boat as them. This is so relevant to society, so relevant. How many times do we see people make a mistake and instinctively wish that same mistake on someone else? I mean, let's say we're in the gym. Someone's benching, right? Someone's benching with perfect form because they've already made all the mistakes. Do you see that person? How many times do we see that person then go to other people in the gym with incorrect form and correct them? It doesn't happen very often. It really doesn't. And it's down to this base human instinct that struggling is translated to success. But it's not true. It's not true. Struggle does not directly translate to success. Let's say I learned the perfect bench technique when I was a little kid because my dad showed me. Dad and son, right? You're going to show him everything you know. You're not going to feel any type of way about it. How much have I struggled in that period of time? None, really, because I learned it when I was a kid. Person B, who wants to get big and be swole and do powerlifting meets but doesn't have a dad who's a powerlifter, has to go through all that struggle and learn all the mistakes himself by making them to then come out at the same level as me. Why is there not a base human instinct to share our knowledge with each other? Why then, I ask, can we not share the idea that we're not supposed to see this thing? We're not supposed to see it. Why can we not share that idea with one another and we just not accept it? Why can we just not accept that some things are not meant for our eyes and our brains? It comes back to a sort of Pandora's box type situation where people give in to their egos and their greed and their base human instincts, which really draw on aspects of the reptilian brain. It's getting a little bit deeper into it, but the amygdala is something that you could research if you wanted to look deeper into that. Essentially, it's the easy option. It's the easy option to look at the person or look at the phenomenon which has been gassed up to be the best thing in the world, and which is why so many people commit suicide, because they've seen it and they think there's no point of me living anymore. Well, sorry, Mallory says, I want to live and I want my 2 kids to live. So, essentially, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that burden on my own back. Even if Tom dies, we are still going to make it. And that's why Mallory gets mad respect from me. Moving swiftly on, the movie sees Mallory escorting the 2 children, one of which was birthed by a pregnant woman in John Malkovich's house. If you remember correctly, I believe her name is Annie or something like that. Might be wrong there. But she takes the 2 kids on a journey, a long journey, and they're blindfolded. During this whole journey, there's a lot of things that happen. They lose food, they lose some things, there's a lot of obstacles. But one thing that really stuck out to me the most is the scene when Mallory asks the children, one of them at least, of her choosing, to remove their blindfold and look and see, give her directions to navigate the rapids, to get them to the blind school and essentially the village of people which will lead them to salvation. Now, she makes it very clear to them that it will be a person of her choosing. She doesn't want it to be a voluntary deed, because by the very nature of the deed, right, me actually wanting to look will actually make me more susceptible to this illness. It's as if the people who want to look the most are the most stupid. And we see this in society, man. The people who give in the easiest to these type of phenomenon are the weak-minded people. Anyway, so whilst navigating the rapids, Mallory changes her mind and then says to the children, actually, no one's looking. And I think this is actually really important because it shows that Mallory as a character is always thinking about the future. Why do I say this? I say this because I believe that scene was a test for the children to see which one, if any of them, wanted to look. So, what can we take away from that? even in children who have been coached and instructed not to look, the instinct prevails. So basically, I believe that she was testing the children in this scene to see whether they would want to look. They were never going to look, really, in my opinion. I believe it was part of her thought process because they did actually need to navigate the rapids. But obviously, because they are being led to a blind school, there's going to be some blind people possibly who have made this journey. So clearly they weren't looking. They didn't notice at the time though, however. So I just believe that Mallory was testing them to see if they would give into their transgression and take a little peep out of the cloth and expose themselves to the illness. Finally, we arrive at the blind school. A lot of divine imagery here. We see skylights, we see vines growing everywhere, we see fruit, we see children playing in the garden. And really the main thing that I take from this is that it's a blind school. It's a blind school for blind people, but has actually been changed into a place for salvation, a place of refuge. Now, the fact that these people are blind and they're the most woke people in the movie is not a coincidence. These blind people are the most woke people because they do not give in to their transgression. I repeat, they do not give in to their transgression. They do not give in to that base human instinct, which is all superficial and represented by what we see and what we take in with our eyes. Now, blind people in day-to-day life can really teach us something. When was the last time any of us, I urge you to ask yourself, when was the last time any of us actually saw a materialistic blind person? When was the last time you saw, Daredevil wearing a Gucci wristband and a Gucci headband and a $70,000 suit or whatever? You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't happen. Why is this? Let's ask ourselves why. Well, firstly, they've grown up judging people off the content of their character, shout out Martin Luther King, of the content of their character rather than what they look like. So, and the sound of their voice, how they smell, how close they stand to people, whether they're leaning in or out, how they laugh, things like that. It's just really genuine stuff that can actually build a profile of a person. Me, I could wear a 10K outfit, a £10,000 outfit, $10,000 outfit, whatever you want to call it. Does that make me a more desirable person to be around? In today's society, yes. Where we have things like Instagram, where we're constantly bombarded with naked women and people with bust down AP Royal Oaks. I love APs. I love Royal Oaks, but the more of them that I see, the less I value these things. So really, the blind people are the most woke because they take everything at face value. It takes for them to be blind to really take everything at face value. So Bird Box is a testament to the human brain. Just to summarize all of this stuff. Really, what Bird Box is a roadmap of the human brain and a mind map of the human brain, whichever one, they're interchangeable. It's really just a visual representation of the base human instincts and the cogs that tick in the human brain of a normal person living in the 21st century. I think 90% of us would probably give in to our transgression and view that which should not be viewed. This is not something that does not exist, guys. It's not some phenomenon that is just like plucked out of the sky and the director just made it up. These are all real things. These are all real things. God is real. God is real. As I stand here today, God is real. Right? And I know that within myself. If you personally are not a religious person, fair enough. Fair enough. But all I ask, think about your transgression, what form it takes, who you serve in your transgression. Is it yourself? Is it the devil? For some of us who are religious, you know, it really just comes down to what is the good thing to do. Not wrong or right. Good. It's different. It's different. And by good, I mean the productive and most sought out outcome for everyone's benefit. That's what I mean. Now, for most people's benefit, right? You obviously do not want half or 90% of the human population to be wiped out. But these people, the weak-minded people in the movie who remove their blindfolds, who give into their transgressions, as we've been saying, those people want other people to be in the same boat as them. It's as if these people have gone and made a mistake, and they can only justify that mistake to themselves by translating it to another human being. Now, I'm going to conclude it there because this video has gone on for very long, but I had a lot to say about this film because it was iconic. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, as I previously said. There will be more of these videos coming. I've been watching a lot of movies. Avengers Infinity War is one that I wanted to do, but it's just so long that there's just no point. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.